Rob Dauster here. I got Jeff Goodman with me.
Hell no.
John Fink.
Are we still live?
Field of 68 till I die.
I'm sorry, man. I blacked out.
Randolph Children.
DJ Khaled, you know the big DJ Khaled guy?
Hands thrown up and in.
Goodman needs to be fired all the time.
Josh Pasco.
You're going to beat people straight up.
You know the deal.
Drink responsibly tonight. I'll be drinking with you.
Jarrell McNeil.
From the bluest of the blue bloods to the smallest of the mid-majors.
This is Field of 68 After Dark.
Welcome to the Monday evening edition here at the Field of 68 After Dark. We are live on YouTube. We are streaming on X. We are live over on Stadium, and we are presented by our partners over at BetMGM. My name is Rob Dauster. I have with me tonight John Henson and Jeff Goodman, who is managed to alienate himself from about 90% of the UConn fan base, which is just the latest in a long line of basketball programs where the fans do not like him and he throws on the UConn ad. What a troll. Oh my gosh. We got a lot to get to, guys. A lot to get to tonight. UConn had a emphatic but at times worrying win over Texas in Madison Square Garden in the Empire Classic Championship. Kentucky was taken to overtime by St. Joe's, and the Maui Invitational started. The first game was Tennessee and Syracuse, and that was an interesting one. But Henson, we're going to start with Purdue, Gonzaga, and you know I'm going to go to you first because this was a game that was dominated by the big fella, Zach Edey, 25 points, 14 rebounds, in a 73-61 win for the Boilermakers, knocking off Gonzaga. They won. They covered, most importantly, and for about 25 minutes on the stretch of that game, John, they looked like a dominant basketball team.
Yeah, they Edey obviously did what he does, and that's even in the first half after missing. I mean, he missed 3 or 4 chip shots, so he could have actually had a better game. But, you know, you saw their maturity, you saw their growth, you saw their experience. They didn't get rattled. Gonzaga gave them their best shot, and then they just wore them down. Gonzaga kept shooting threes, and one thing Purdue is going to get is good looks at the rim with Edey down there. So Gonzaga didn't make enough threes. They just didn't make enough threes, and Edey is going to get us good high percentage shots, and they just wore him down. And down the stretch, you know, Braden Smith obviously played really well, kind of ran the show, which is kind of the first time I've really seen him kind of take control of a game like that. So Purdue looks like they're legit contenders. Let's just hope they don't see FDU anywhere down the road. I think they'll be fine.
Goodman, what do you
don't
make
have to worry
of
about
these
that this year.
Okay.
Then I got stuff to do. Don't worry. Listen, my take, as much as we're going to talk about Edey and Braden Smith, Rob, to me, Lance Jones changes his team. He changes the team because he gives them something that they just didn't have. We saw it against Xavier, and we saw it again the second half. A guy who can really get to the rim and is physical and can guard at a high level. He's athletic. He's fearless. He's tough. He provides kind of almost everything that I think Purdue needed, other than maybe a guy who takes a little bit more pressure off Braden Smith handling the ball. But to be honest, Braden Smith's gotten so much better from a year ago in terms of being able to handle the pressure that I think he's going to be fine. But, you know, the concern is still that 4th spot. And Kaufman, Wren, and Edey together, I don't like it. I just don't like it.
Yeah, the worrying part tonight is that when you're going up against a team like Gonzaga, they want to play big. The Zags want to play 2 big guys. They kind of are forced into doing it because they don't have Steel Venters, which is a different conversation for a different day. But they play Graham Ike at the 5, and a lot of times they are playing Ben Gregg and Braden Huff together, which is not ideal when you can't win those matchups when you have a second big on the floor. If you're Purdue, you just kind of need that spacing out there. I want to go back to Braden Smith, though, John. Like, this dude, to me, he finished with 13 points. He finished with 4 boards. He had 6 assists. He had 5 steals. He was getting to the bucket. He was making tough shots. He was doing all of the things that by the end of last year, he wasn't doing in those big games when, let's just call it what it is, Purdue kind of choked away the end of their season. And I could not be more impressed with what I saw out of him today.
He looked good. He looked like he had learned from his. I mean, there was a point in time last season when they would pressure him towards the end of the game. He couldn't bring the ball up. Purdue had a problem bringing the ball up during the tournament, and just late into the Big Ten tournament. they would get pressured and couldn't bring the ball up. So he looks like a completely different player. The confidence is there. He hit some tough shots. Like he was kind of a steadying presence for them today. And if he can complement Zach Edey the way he did today, I don't even know if the 4 spot, they'll be able to figure that out, because by the time they figure that out, they'll be firmly in the national championship race, playing well. And like I said, I love Braden Smith. Jeff brought up a good point too, with the other guard, Lance Jones. He was pushing the pace. They sped the pace up. We haven't seen Purdue kind of speed the pace up like that before. They sped the pace up, kind of put Gonzaga on their heels, and that's when the game kind of flipped towards Purdue. So being able to win in different ways, which I also had a problem with Purdue last year. They couldn't win in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Today you saw they kind of pushed the pace a little bit and kind of took the reins of that game.
Jeff, what do you make of Gonzaga?
I actually was impressed with them. I mean, they out-rebounded Purdue in the first half. Again, they relied too heavily on the 3 in the second half and didn't make any. But, I expected them to get blown out. I think you did too in this game. And eventually it was a 10-point game. But they fought them. They competed against a top 5 team in the country on a neutral court. My biggest thing is they have no depth. They have 7 guys right now. And they're 1 injury away from being in real trouble this year. And they don't have a dude. They got a bunch of good players. Ryan Nembhard's a really good player. I think Nolan Hickman's gotten better. They've got Graham Ike is certainly helps with what he can do down low, but I just don't know if they've got a dude. So I think they're a team that, is going to be solid throughout the year, but not a team that I'd worry about too much going to a Final Four this year.
Yeah, they have 7 guys, but the 2 guys that come off their bench are big fellas, right? So they're playing their smallest lineup as it is, and you got Graham Ike, who is not exactly the most mobile center, John, and you're playing Anton Watson next to him. So you're basically playing a natural 5 and a natural 4, and you can't get to a small ball lineup. Like, that's the big red flag to me, is there's no matchup versatility when it comes to this Gonzaga team.
Yeah, they are who they are. They're big down low. They have good guard play. They definitely need some help off the bench. I'm kind of looking at the stats today. They did out rebound them, 13 assists on 26 shots made. They shot 30. They didn't shoot the ball well. I mean, 6 for 32. But I think they could have got better threes, man. They were kind of started jacking it. When they saw that thing start going in, it was kind of like fool's gold. They started shooting more. Even big fella that was shooting the threes, he had only made 2 the whole year. He shot like 6 today or something like that, or I don't know how many he shot, but yeah, he shot 6.
So 6.
Yeah, like I think Purdue at halftime was like, Zach, don't worry about that. He's only hit 2 this whole season. We'll live. and they baited him to take us some tough shots, especially when they needed the game to kind of calm down and have a sort of calming presence with Nembhard out there. They were firing 3 still, and that's when Purdue just kind of took over, man, and didn't look back.
Goodman, Gonzaga or St. Mary's? Who's the best team in the WCC right now?
St. Mary's. I told you, I'm riding the Gales still. I don't care how bad they are. I'm not giving up. I'm not jumping. I'm going to be the last one off that wagon, other than Alex Ducas's family. I'm the last one off.
Look, I respect it, man. When push comes to shove, you dig in your heels and you try to prove to everybody why you're right. Look, you're going to stay on the St. Mary's bandwagon. I'm sticking on this Tyrese Proctor bandwagon. He's going to figure it out, man. He's going to make this thing work, Henson. We're going to see Tyrese Proctor All-American before this thing is all said.
I mean, we had him. We were talking about him All-American team. Like, I mean, when we were saying Roach was a guy really that should be on that in that discussion. So it looks like we were right about that.
Last thing I want to hit you guys on is Fletcher Lawyer was not good today, and I think not good is just the kind of politically correct way of talking about the game that he had. He was 0 for 6. There was one point in time in the second half, Jeff, where he dropped the ball and threw up an air ball and was looking at his hands, and I think you could see it read his lips say the ball is wet or whatever. He was in his head tonight. Was that just one night, something, maybe you're playing at a game when you're in Hawaii with a different time zone, just getting used to maybe playing a morning game? Are you worried about Fletcher Lawyer there?
A little bit, because I think he's got more competition now. Like if you look at Colvin, right? He can play, man. He can shoot, and he's athletic, and he's coming. And like it's time, Lawyer. It's time. You've got to really step up now and be consistent. He was so good the first half of last year, so much better than we expected coming out of the gates. And then obviously he had a little bit of a wall and was hurt. And now he's got serious competition with Colvin for those minutes. And I like that for Painter. I don't love it at the 4-man spot because I don't know who the hell it is, but I like either Lawyer or Colvin, to be honest, at that spot. And I think it's like best man win, but you could play both of them minutes. No problem.
Yeah. All right, Henson, let's get to the other game that happened in Maui this afternoon. It was the first game of the Maui Invitational this year. It was Tennessee, it was Syracuse, and the Orange looked pretty good for a while. They hung in there. They cut it to one possession with, I want to say, like 4 minutes left, and then Tennessee pulled this thing out down the stretch. They won 73-56. Dalton Connect scored 15 of his 17 points in the first half. Jonas Adu had a double-double. Josiah Jordan-James had a double-double. To me, and I want you guys to correct me if I'm wrong here, to me, Tennessee looks like they very much belong in that top 5 national title contention conversation. And it's the fact that they have guys like Dalton Connect and Justin Gainey, bucket getters that they haven't had in the past. I think they look real. Am I wrong?
They look good. I mean, Dalton Connect, I mean, he adds that shifty, go get a bucket. I mean, at halftime, Rick Barnes was like, look, we want him to do more. He could have, he wasn't as aggressive as I want him to be. So we see where that's going to head this season. He's going to be the guy with the ball in his hand down the stretch. Even with Vescovi, I love the way he's playing. He's bought into this team concept. He was getting more shots last year. He was in more rhythm of the offense, but they're just a team that is bought in. They're ready to sacrifice, and they're there to win. And I think they've won the last couple of years, and they understand what it takes, what it feels like to lose, what it feels like to be a top dog. So they're settling into, becoming one of those teams that they're gonna hang around. They're gonna be there at Sweet 16. They're gonna be in the top 10 in and out. They're gonna be tough to beat in Tennessee. So I love what I saw from them today. Solid, and it brings you back to going up to Wisconsin. You see how Wisconsin played today. They went up there and beat them boys at their house. So that just is on par with what they're doing right now in Maui. They look really good.
Yeah, we're going to get into that Wisconsin game here, Goodman, in a little bit. Some of us bet the team that lost by 24 points and only scored 41 points. It was not one of my greatest calls
in the first half.
I don't blame you, man. That was brutal. It was 28-18 at halftime. It looked like, Jeff, you know what it looked like? It looked like both teams had 5 John Hensons out there.
Ooh.
They needed a Kendall Marshall. That's what they needed, a Kendall Marshall out there, throwing the ball ahead and getting some points and pushing the pace. And I like Tennessee. I'm not going to lie. I like him, and I like him more with Dalton Connect, but I don't love him. I don't trust him. I especially don't trust him when it comes to the NCAA tournament. I still think they're going to play a grinder. And Dalton Connect made threes today, right? He hadn't made them yet this season. That was a difference to me. He's supposed to be a 3-level scorer. He showed that today. Really, really like him. But again, let's see kind of if he can keep this up through the course of the season. There are guys we've seen in the past that have transferred up, that have started out really well and then hit a little bit of a wall. And there's a book on them when it gets to league play. Again, I'm not saying it's going to happen with Dalton Connect. All I'm saying is, let's slow our roll a little bit here.
Yeah, there's a reason why he went JUCO, then went Northern Colorado. Like, if he was that dude, John, he would have been at Tennessee from the jump, not getting there for his 5th season of college.
I just see, the flow in his game. I mean, he's getting by. Like, I just see the like Jay Billis said, that's the wiggle. Like, I think he's going to be fine. I mean, he's good. I was watching today. I was like, oh, man, he's nice. So I don't know. He may hit that wall, but he's got some shit in his bag, man.
No doubt. Mm-hmm. No doubt. No, he's impressive so far. Really impressive.
Yeah. All right. Real quick, I want 10 seconds from each of you guys on Syracuse under Red Autry playing man-to-man. Goodman, were you impressed, disappointed? What do you make of them?
I mean, listen, they came out of the gates. They played well. J.J. Starling didn't make shots. There's too much on Judah Mintz. There's just too much on him. But I think Red, I like it. I think it was time, and I think he'll start to figure it out and upgrade the overall talent.
Yeah, Henson, we'll get your take on Syracuse here when we come back, because they're not the only big powerhouse program that struggled today. We mentioned Wisconsin. We will talk about them next. We're also going to get into Kentucky, because the Wildcats, after that great performance in the Champions Classic, got taken to overtime by St. Joe's. What does it mean? College basketball season kicks off this week, and there is no better way to get prepared for the wild finishes, the bad beats, and the total unpredictability of the sport that we all love than by purchasing access to the Almanac, a project that we at the Field of 68 partnered on with Three Man Weave, Heat Check CBB, and Verbal Commits. Unlike last season, the Almanac is no longer a PDF. Rather, it is a website that features more than 1,500 words on each and every one of the 362 Division I teams in college basketball. We wrote more than 800,000 words in total. We spoke to every single Division I head coach to get a feel for the rosters, the rotation, the projected starter lineups, and what they think their team is going to look like this year. For everyone, from the bluest of the blue bloods to the smallest of the mid-majors, they deserve to be covered like they matter. And over at the Almanac, that is precisely what we do. Access costs just $19.99 for the year and can be purchased at the link in the description below. And now, back to our show. Welcome back to the Field of 68 After Dark, live here on YouTube, live on X, and live over on Stadium. My name is Rob Dauster. I got John Henson with me. I got Jeff Goodman with me, and we're going to have to talk about Wisconsin's blowout of Virginia, number 24 Virginia, a 24-point win. It was really impressive. But before we do, I think the second biggest story of the day, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, was Kentucky struggling at home with St. Joe's. I think Kentucky was the team that all of us left the Champions Classic being the most impressed by. And their next game out, the defense wasn't quite there. Reed Shepherd made me look kind of dumb for touting him as being like the guy that you got to start over DJ Wagner Goodman. I know that you're all in on the Wildcats now. I know that John Calipari is now your favorite college basketball coach in America. What do you make of Kentucky's struggles tonight?
They're young, and St. Joe's has a bunch of guards that can beat you off the bounce. And Eric Reynolds is a friggin' star. He was the best player on the court tonight for most of the game. Now, DJ Wagner did a hell of a job on him in the second half for stretches. But I thought when it mattered most, Trey Mitchell was the one who provided the win here. You know, he got a huge putback at the end of regulation. And then really, to be honest, they probably lose if St. Joe's big guy makes both free throws with about 15 seconds left. They're down one. He makes one of two. They go to overtime, and right out of the gates, Trey Mitchell hits two threes from straight away, and that was pretty much it. I mean, St. Joe's came back and made it a game. But listen, they're going to be up and down. They're young. And you know, it can be shown by one guy, Rob, Reed Shepherd. That look at what he did last game and what he did this game. He was unbelievable last game. I forget what his stat line was, but he was like
25.7 assists.
Yeah, like he didn't miss. He didn't make a mistake, right? Today, you know how many shots he took? One shot. One shot in 25 minutes. He had 4 assists. He wasn't awful out there. He just wasn't really out there making a huge impact for a lot of the game. So I think this Kentucky team still has a long way to go. But here's the one thing I will say, Rob. The biggest takeaway I'm getting from this Kentucky team, they make shots from the perimeter. They have multiple guys. Trey Mitchell has shown me he can make shots from the perimeter. Reeves is inconsistent. He can make them. Dillingham can make them. He can get downhill, get to the basket whenever the hell he wants. The biggest question I'm going to have is, like, what do they do when they get some of these bigs back? How do they figure this thing out rotation-wise?
Yeah, so here's my thing with this specific game, right? There was game pressure on them. They blew leads. St. Joe's made a comeback. They hit a bunch of threes down the stretch. Like Kentucky probably, I don't want to say should have, but they could have lost this game very easily in regulation, and they didn't. They made the plays that they had to make down the stretch. And that's not something that you always see out of a young team, having that level of composure in a game where you tried to give it away. John, I don't think that I've actually heard your overall opinion on this Kentucky team and what you make of them this year. How good are they? What do you like about the guards? What do you like about this team? What's your overall take on Kentucky in 2023?
I love the guard play. They're young, they're dynamic, and they looked really good against Kansas. But being trusting young guys on a Tuesday night, which is a Monday night, on a Monday night against St. Joe's, because we have Kentucky on our chest. Hey, look, we're going to just come in here and win. That doesn't work. You got to remember who you are. You're Kentucky, right? You're at Rupp. This is a team, a St. Joe's team that's good, that's mature. And if you look across the board with the stats tonight, I mean, everything was pretty much even. I think the only difference in the game was St. Joe's had 8 more offensive rebounds. We gave them 8 more possessions, and that's where the game kind of went kind of even with Kentucky, and they was battling back and forth winning overtime. So this is probably a good learning experience for them. Glad they didn't lose. And they probably learned a lot from this because, like you said, Rob, they battled back. St. Joe's got hot. They went to overtime. They finished them out. We won't be talking about this in 2 weeks because they won the game. But this Kentucky team, kind of shades of last year. Are they going to pick it up like they did last year and kind of become a force, or are they going to kind of fade out? I don't know yet, man. The guards,
I think
the
they're
guard
going to be
plays
inconsistent. Henson,
there.
I think they're going to be inconsistent this year because of their youth.
Yeah.
And they got 2 veterans in Trey Mitchell and Antonio Reeves, but they've never played this type of role for the team either. They've never had to provide leadership. They've been trying to figure themselves out for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
Now they've got to be reliable and consistent. Trey Mitchell's been pretty darn good. Reeves has been a little up and down.
Yeah, who I think they are, and I've made this comparison in the preseason, John. It's the program from last year that you're not allowed to name. I see a lot of resemblance to last year's Duke team. Remember earlier in the year, like Duke took a couple bad L's out in the PK 85. They didn't look great against some of the mid-major opponents that they played, and Shire kind of had to go to different lineups with Derek Lively coming off the bench and Dariq Whitehead coming off the bench. And I think we're kind of it's different in that Duke team was defense and they had to figure out how to score, and this Kentucky's team is offense and they got to figure out how to get stops. But it's a young team where they don't have it all figured out now, John, but the talent is there where if it does come together, you can see what their ceiling is in spurts, right?
Definitely see their ceiling, and they got those big guys coming back. It's going to be interesting to see how they come into the fold because I kind of like the lineup right now, but obviously they've got to play, the high-level guys. So it's going to be interesting to see what Cal does. Cal doesn't come off as feeling, bad about anything. He's probably going to –
John, how hard is that? How hard is that to bring back guys that look, Aaron Bradshaw, 5-star guy, is going to have a certain expectation for the minutes and the shots that he gets. When you already have that established rotation, how hard is it to bring a guy like that in?
You don't necessarily know in practice what's going on, right? Because he could be looking like the next Karl Anthony Towns out there, right? And everybody's going to fall in line. So we don't know what he looks like behind the scenes, but he's got to play. And for him, he better do something and be effective fast, or he's not going to play. I don't think Coach Kyle is shy about that. I think we know he's there to win. He hasn't had a great stretch of years as of late, so I wouldn't call it a hot seat, but he's in a pressure cooker right now to win games, and I think that's going to take precedence over anything.
Mm-hmm. All right, Goodman, let's move.
Rob, I love Bradshaw, but I don't know what you do. And again, we don't know if he's going to come back, when he's going to come back, and again, how effective he's going to be, because you're talking about a freshman who's missed most of the preseason. So what do you do if you're Cal? Are you almost like, hey, I don't need Big Z even eligible if I can get 1 or 2 of those other bigs back? Because the worst case might be having all 3 of them, because then you're talking about maybe 2 of them not playing because they need one rim protector. That's really what they need for this team as much as anything. A rim running, rim protecting big who doesn't really need the basketball because there's a lot of mouths to feed
That's
on
Big
that
Z,
team.
man. That's Big Z more than those other guys because he is the
He's not
biggest of
eligible,
them.
though. Right.
Oh, I
But he's
know.
not
I'm
even
saying,
eligible.
like, if that happens, if it happens, and we don't know if it's going to end up being, but he is, like, to me, he's the guy that fits that mold the most. All right, I want to head down to Florida. I want to head down to the Fort Myers tip-off. I want to head down to the building where we saw Virginia, the number 24 team in the country, the team that's got Ryan Dunn and Reese Beekman, two of the best defenders in college basketball, the team that I sat right here and said is going to beat Wisconsin, that I bet my hard-earned dollars on the BetMGM app on Virginia, laying 2.5, lost by 24. Goodman, you just put the Wisconsin hat on. So I was gonna ask Henson first, but I'm going to you, man. What the hell happened here?
I just don't think Virginia's that talented. I just don't. And they're young up front. Blake Buchanan had a great game, but not today, right? He had a great game last week. Today, he was kind of non-existent as a freshman going up against a couple of veteran bigs for Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. Wisconsin's old. They're old. They're going to have a shot. You don't see teams do this to Virginia generally, dominate them on the glass like Wisconsin did. I think they doubled them up on the glass today. And to me, again, it's telling when you look at Blake Buchanan and Jacob Groves. Those are your bigs for Virginia right now. So much is built on Reese Beekman having to be the guy, and he's not a guy that's going to go out there and get you 20, 25 points. If you need that from him, you're in major trouble. As good as Tony Bennett is, and he's one of the best in the sport, I don't think he can take this team with this group and take him deep into the tournament or win an ACC title, which he generally always does, right? He wins ACC titles no matter what he has.
Yeah, I watched the game today and I came away kind of like, okay, well, Tony Bennett needs to change maybe that offense because usually they pass the ball around, they take clock, they get a good shot, but they were getting shots they could get early in the clock, right? It's contested. They couldn't get, no one was getting around anyone. Then the clock runs out and they're playing one-on-one. I was like, if Virginia wants to win this game, they might as well just speed up the game and play faster because they're getting they're taking bad shots at the end of the clock, right? That's not how Virginia works. So that was just kind of a testament to what, the lack of talent, like Jeff said. They lack talent. They're putting it all on Beekman, and Beekman's a very good complementary guy, as we saw last year, right? For him to have the ball in his hand and try to be that guy, I don't think that's his role, and it's a lot of pressure on him. And then, they hit the Wisconsin buzzsaw today. I mean, they were on today. So, I don't know what they got going down in Fort Myers, but they need to keep doing whatever they did the night before this game.
This was honestly one of the more shocking results of the early college basketball season to me. Because if you go back and you watch what Wisconsin did on the road at Providence, like they got completely steamrolled. They got embarrassed. It was to the point that Greg Gard was like kind of throwing guys under the bus a little bit in the press conference after the Providence game, right? We still aren't seeing Connor Essegian. He played 4 minutes tonight. I don't think anybody expected this out of him after the freshman year that he had. And then they come out and they go up against a Virginia team that is not like, say what you will about Virginia, they're never going to be easy to play against. Like it's kind of miserable to deal with them, John. You probably know about that better than anybody, but like it's to see them come out here and just completely dominate from the opening tip, a Virginia team that I never would have seen this coming ever, obviously, because I bet on Virginia to win
What
this game.
Did Connor do? What did Connor do up there in Wisconsin this summer? What did he do to the coach? I mean, I don't know what's going on, but that's weird. I
don't know. Crazy, right? It's crazy to be that good last year and get in the doghouse that quickly. This was the fewest points allowed to an AP top 25 team ever by Wisconsin, by the way, 41 points.
Ever, period, or ever by Wisconsin?
For Wisconsin, by Wisconsin.
That's a lot because Wisconsin had a lot of teams that can't really score a lot of points. So I think that says a lot about you. Listen, we have a lot to get to. Jeff Goodman had the hat on before. I got the shirt on right now. UConn won another championship. It was the Empire Classic in Madison Square Garden, but they did it. We'll talk about them next. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use the bonus code FIELD200 and you will receive $200 in bonus bets instantly when placing your first wager of at least $10 with BetMGM. Here's what you got to do. Download the BetMGM app. Sign up using the bonus code FIELD200. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game regardless of sport. You will receive $200 in bonus bets regardless of the outcome of your wager. Just make sure that you use the bonus code FIELD200 when you sign up. And remember, BetMGM is now available under one wallet in select states. As a New Jersey resident, this is super convenient for me when I have to go cover games in New York or Philly. When crossing state borders, just log into your existing account instead of having to create new accounts in each state that you go to. And most importantly, I got to let you know, we do have some fun stuff coming up for this college basketball season. Bet insurance tokens, college hoops odds boosts, my personal favorite, parlay odds boosts. So download the BetMGM app today. Welcome back to the Field of 68 After Dark. Goodman has a brand new outfit on right now. I have no idea how that happened so quickly. He was wearing an Eagles jersey when we went to break, and he also had a Wisconsin hat on. This is John. This is becoming standard around here in these parts. Listen,
I almost going to get my shirt too. I'm mad I didn't go get my shirt. I almost want to get my Carolina shirt, man.
Well, I'm just glad that we didn't actually have to watch Jeff Goodman change. That would have been a little bit disturbing for everybody out there. Listen, we got to talk about what happened in Madison Square Garden. Goodman, I have a bone to pick with you. All right. Last night,
what do you got?
You said that Indiana was more talented than UConn. Indiana went out.
I never said that.
UConn.
You're
they struggled with Louisville. Then you went out and you said that Alex Karaban has no chance to be a first-round pick. And then he went out today. He dropped 20 points against Texas. He had 3 Kara buzzer beaters to be able to preserve the lead every time that Texas made a run. Karaban stepped up. He made a big shot. I think you have that to answer for. You have said that you don't believe that UConn can go back-to-back. At this point in the season, I don't know if there are 5 teams in college basketball that have proven themselves to be as impressive as UConn has been throughout the start of the season. Why do you hate UConn?
All right, first of all, you're making shit up. You're completely making shit up. Now, I did say I don't think
for the record, not completely. Only like probably 75% of what I said was true.
Yeah, you're exaggerating. Alex Karaban is a hell of a basketball player. I do not think he'll be a first-round pick. I think he'll be picked in the second round. UConn is a very good team. They're without Castle, who's super important to them and is going to be really good for them when he gets back healthy second half of the year. Texas was without its 2 bigs, Caden Shedrick and Dylan Dessou. So I think you caught them at the right time. I'm not saying Texas was going to necessarily beat them. I think it would have been a really, really good game down the stretch if they were completely healthy. I think they needed those 2 bigs more than UConn needs Castle. How's that? Does that make sense? But again, Cam Spencer and Karaban were terrific, and they won with Klingman playing 13 minutes in foul trouble today for the most part. They didn't really need him that much because Texas didn't have any bigs that could do a damn thing.
Yeah, it was actually a better matchup to play Samson Johnson here, John, just because he's more of like the perimeter pace and not a pace and space, but he's like a movement
like
5
Mitchell.
as opposed to like the big.
He's like Dylan Mitchell.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And Dylan Mitchell went off. I'm sorry. Go ahead, John.
Yep.
No, he brought the energy. I mean, I think when he came in the game, that's when things kind of took off for UConn. I mean, they looked like a well-oiled machine. I mean, Cam Spencer was one of my favorite players at Rutgers last year. So for them to like get him, like it's kind of crazy. Like the rich get richer. Newton's running the show. He's a pure point guard to me. I love the way he plays. Karaban almost seemed like every time they needed a three, he hit one. They're going to be tough to beat, man. They looked really good today. And shout out to Texas. UConn was giving them blow after blow, and they kept fighting back. They stayed into the game. Shots weren't falling. Shout out to my guy, Dylan Mitchell, Tampa, Florida native. You know, like finally got to see him be more aggressive. Hopefully he turns the corner, right? Like I've never seen him be this aggressive, shooting fadeaways and kind of, you know, coming through the lane and slapping, demanding for the ball. That's the type of stuff I like to see from him because when they get those two bigs back, I think they're only going to be better for it. And this was a high level game. I enjoyed watching this game. It was like an NBA game. It was high level offense and athleticism. It was fun.
John, I have a hot take about Texas and about Dylan Mitchell and about the way that he needs to be used. And we're going to get to that in a second. But before we do, our John Fanta was in the Garden tonight for UConn's Empire Classic Championship, and he's able to catch up with the man of the hour, Alex Karaban.
Alex Karaban has the clutch gene. 20 points tonight as UConn beats Texas in a top 15 showdown to win the Empire Classic title, 81-71. Alex, Texas gets within 4 with about 5 minutes on the clock. You proceed to score the next 3 buckets for your team. What were you thinking in those moments?
Yeah, just doing whatever it takes to win. We have so many guys, so many talented guys on the team that anyone can step up. And tonight was my night, just being able to trust my work, trust my skills, and be able to show out for our team. And just so happy we got the win.
To win a championship inside Madison Square Garden, throughout your practices, there are different pictures of trophies that you want to accomplish. What's the significance of this first one?
It's so important just for this team to experience a little glimpse of what a championship feels like. I mean, we have the returners, of course, but the new guys this year just experiencing what we want. We want more just from Big East tournament, national championships. And, you know, this is great and all, but, you know, the bigger tournaments are coming. Those feel so much better when you win them.
Late in this game, you have a Kobe fader from the baseline. That's what I was thinking of as you step up and hit that shot. Take us through that sequence.
Yeah, I was hearing, I got the ball at the top, and I just heard Coach say, go score. So I was like, all right, so put him in the post. And then me and 100, Barry and GA, we work on it before practices and after practices. So, you know, he's the one that taught me it.
What's the world finding out about Samson Johnson?
Everything. He's been slept on for so long, and, you know, he's had a rough 2 years to start, but, you know, everyone knows what he's capable of, and now that he's out there doing it, it's just eye-opening for people, and he's such a special player, freak athlete, and he can only get better from here.
This is 22 straight wins by this program, by double figures over non-conference opponents. How has that taken place?
I don't even know, to be honest. I don't know. Really, it's just trusting coach's work. I mean, the coaches know everything, and just trusting them and really implementing what we do in practice out there on the court, just playing hard, playing tougher than the other team, and you know, it's definitely an impressive accomplishment that, you know, I still have a hard time wrapping my head around.
Jordan Hawkins, Andre Jackson, Adama Sanogo. This program lost 3 massive pieces. Why no championship hangover?
We're just hungry for more. We want this new group to experience what we experienced last year, and for returns, we want more. We want more championships. So just always on the desire to get more, and coaches have to. They're honest every day about everyone's going to be wanting their best shot against us now. We're going to be the target, so just be ready for that.
Finally, the best Thanksgiving side dish for Alex Karaban.
Gotta go with a good side of mac and cheese.
He deserves it after that performance. Alex, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
That's the first time that I've ever thought that I can't trust Alex Karaban if he thinks that mac and cheese is the best side that you can get on a Thanksgiving plate. It's clearly the creamy mashed potatoes, without a doubt. I don't want to hear anything that anybody else has to say. All right, so I do want to talk a little bit about Texas because I think that what we saw from them, especially probably in the last 15 minutes of that game, is Dylan Mitchell, small ball 5, Tyrese Hunter, Max Asmus playing kind of spread, a little bit more of a modern style. John, you've known Dylan for a long time. I know that you watch this Texas program because you've known Dylan for a long time. How does that work when you have Caden Shedrick and Dylan Mitchell together? Because it feels like they kind of both need to be playing that same role and that same spot on the floor for this offense.
It's going to be a night-to-night basis, and they've got to be mature enough to say, when it's your night, it's your night. When it's not your night, it's my teammates' night. And I think, Dylan, from what I know of him as a person, he wants to win, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to win. We actually, I wish he would be more aggressive. I talked to him summer. I actually went to a couple of workouts in LA. I want him to be more aggressive. People want him to be more aggressive. So I don't think it's going to be a problem with it working out per se. But they've got to just figure out how to work together, man. They've got the guard play. They've got the bigs coming back. If Dylan can turn the corner, I've never seen him be this aggressive. So maybe this is a step in the right direction confidence-wise for him. Because if they can get him to 20, not score 20, but if they can get him to score at a decent clip and be that energy, blocking shots. Early on in the game, if he doesn't have those hustle, those energy plays, they get blown out the water. He kind of stopped the bleeding a little bit. So if he can keep that up, man, sky's the limit for this Texas team. And for him as a prospect in college and as a professional, I think that's what they want to see, because he's right now, he's kind of on that borderline, like, do we give up on him from an NBA prospect? He was projected to be a top 10 guy last year. So, I think both of them can work it out. And if the goal is to win, they should be fine. And tonight should be promising. They didn't have all their guys, and UConn is a well-oiled machine. They look good.
Go ahead, Goodman.
Yeah, listen, to me, like, A. Smith has to carry him right now, and he's been inefficient. He hit the game winner to save him against Louisville, but he hasn't been great, and he needs to be great. And I think he's adjusting to obviously a new team, and now you have not only a new team, but a team that's down too big, so there's even more pressure on him. So you got Onyema starting, Brock Cunningham playing 30 minutes tonight. This isn't the Texas team that we thought we were going to see. And the other aspect of this is they're missing a big wing. They don't have that like 6'6", 6'7" wing that Texas is always – I feel like they've always had him, right? They had him back from, like Damian James days. Like they've always had a guy like that, and they don't have that guy now.
It's a hell of a name, by the way, Damian James.
Yeah, that's a great poll. I'm worried about Max Abmas, and I know it's just a 2-game sample, but it looked like the length and athleticism that you see from some of these high major backcourts got to him a little bit. Now, we've seen him make the run. We've seen the success that he's had at Oral Roberts. It might just be a blip. This might just be something where like he got to the Garden and he didn't have it these last 2 nights. But John, I'm not as bullish and I was a little bit down on Max compared to the rest of the field of 68 heading into the season, but like I'm a little bit worried. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. He takes tough shots and makes tough shots, so that's kind of his game. But in reference to his style of play, like that was cool at Oral Roberts, right? Like, middle of the road, decent team. You get to shoot all the balls. We need you. You shoot a couple bad shots against UConn and a couple misses, and you miss a couple guys, and you don't make the right play. All right, that 2-point game goes to a 7-point game. Now you're pressing. So I think he has to figure out that level of play. There's less room for error, being playing against a UConn, right? And there's more length, and also you're the number 1 guy on the scouting report for UConn Huskies. It's just different. It's different right now. So he'll figure it out. He's a good scorer, and the shots that he was missing, it wasn't, I don't think it was. There are shots that he makes, the shots that he takes. So I'm not necessarily worried about him in the long run, but right now he's got to figure it out, man, because this could snowball into the confidence thing. And then now we're talking midway through the season, he's having a horrible year, and coach has got to make some changes potentially.
Yeah, Jeff, go ahead. You got 30 seconds.
Yeah, I don't think you can make any changes, John. What else do you have?
Yeah.
He's got to be the guy, and Tyrese Hunter's got to figure out how to get him shots in his spots. And again, I think it's going to take time. At Oral Roberts, we saw him have that freedom. He could do everything with the ball in his hands. Well, now the ball is in Tyrese Hunter's hands a lot, and Max Abmas is playing without it far more than he ever did at Oral Roberts.
Yeah, I think that they'll figure it out, and I'm hoping that he'll find a way to be able to make it work. It just he looked small out there today. Listen,
He is
we
small.
gotta take a break, but he is. When we come back, we are going to be previewing tomorrow's action in the Maui Invitational. We have some great games. College basketball season kicks off this week, and there is no better way to get prepared for the wild finishes, the bad beats, and the total unpredictability of the sport that we all love than by purchasing access to the Almanac, a project that we at the Field of 68 partnered on with Three Man Weave, Heat Check CBB, and Verbal Commits. Unlike last season, the Almanac is no longer a PDF. Rather, it is a website that features more than 1,500 words on each and every one of the 362 Division I teams in college basketball. We wrote more than 800,000 words in total. We spoke to every single Division I head coach to get a feel for the rosters, the rotation, the projected starter lineups, and what they think their team is going to look like this year. For everyone, from the bluest of the blue bloods to the smallest of the mid-majors, they deserve to be covered like they matter. And over at the Almanac, that is precisely what we do. Access costs just $19.99 for the year and can be purchased at the link in the description below. And now, back to our show. Welcome back to the Field of 68 After Dark. It is the Friday evening. I'm sorry, the Monday evening edition. I'm getting my days confused over here. We have games to talk about. I just want to before we get into it, before we talk about the Tuesday slate that we have coming up. Last call. We are live on Stadium. As soon as Field of 68 After Dark ends, head over to the Stadium app. Head over to Stadium's channel on YouTube. We are going to be doing our post game. I guess our post After Dark show. It's called Last Call. We started it last week. We'll be going all season long, every Monday through Friday. Last Call, 12 to 12:30 a.m. Eastern time over there on Stadium. We'll be answering your questions. Jump in there. Throw some questions in the chat. We want to interact. We want to hear from you guys. We want to answer the questions that you have about college basketball. All right, guys, we mentioned it earlier. I want to talk a little bit about what we see coming up tomorrow in the Maui Invitational. The biggest game is going to end up being Purdue and Tennessee in a semifinal of an MTE. Two top 8 teams in college basketball are facing off. When on the other side, you could very well get Marquette playing against Kansas, 2 top 4 teams in college basketball. So we'll start with Tennessee and Purdue. According to Ken Palm, that line is going to be Purdue -4. I expect it to be a little bit lower once BetMGM finally releases those lines. They are not out yet. But I'm going to go first to you, John, because while we were off air, one of the things that you said was, and I quote, I like Tennessee to pull the upset. Why?
It's that time of the year, man. Now we're in Hawaii. It's Thanksgiving. I think Purdue looked good. They looked okay, but I still think we haven't seen peak Tennessee. Tennessee, they just showed me a little more today. Even, with them winning last week up in Wisconsin, I think they're going to have a game plan. If they can get big fella back, I don't know if he's going to play tomorrow. They got injured. That's another big body for Zach Edey.
Yeah.
Toby Owaka. I like Tennessee, man, especially if you're going to give me points. I'll take those gladly.
Goodman?
Yeah, I'm going to stick with Purdue. I think they can play in a grinder if they want to. And I just think the experience, the fact that, again, they've like Zakai Ziegler's still coming back from that injury. He's not 100%. They're still trying to figure out their team, where Purdue kind of knows it, other than Lance Jones. And again, as we talked about, the 4-man, but they've got options at the 4. They've got different matchups against like Josiah James, right? Like they've got different guys they can throw at somebody like him. So I think ultimately Purdue wins this. And again, like Zach Edey, not only again, you throw him the ball in there Henson, what did you shoot from the line at Carolina?
Mid 60s, high 60s, maybe 70 on a good day.
Yeah. What's Zach Edey shoot? I know he was 9 for 10 today.
Shooting 80, right? Shooting like 80%, right?
Yes. Yes. For somebody
And he gets
that
fouled a
big,
lot more than they call it.
Oh, he gets
What was
fouled
that?
all the time. And
Yeah,
he'll
it's
complain
crazy.
a little bit, but he can complain almost every time he touches the ball because he's getting jammed. He's getting grabbed. Like he is just getting absolutely hacked every time he touches the ball, which is honestly the only way to play him, right? What else do you do with him, Henson?
Yeah,
What do
you
do?
gotta wall and hope he misses chip shots like he did early in the first half and try to get ahead. That's the only thing you can do. He's a force down there. I think the team that's going to give them problems is a big man that can run, which Tennessee has. Also, a big man that I think Purdue lives with him shooting those 15-footers, but Zach Edey's got to respect it, right? So, but as far as guarding Edey, yeah, there's nothing you can do, man. Wall up, dig, hope he misses. He's like Shaq,
I mean, that's the way the team's kind of playing, and that's the way that he's officiated. I tend to lean towards Purdue here because I think the line's going to end up opening somewhere around -2 or -2.5. But if I can get 4.5 points for Tennessee in a game where I think that they are still a little bit undervalued nationally, and where I think that their defensive toughness will be able to kind of make sure this is a closer game and maybe a lower scoring game, it's kind of hard to say no to that. Especially when you consider that guys like Zakai Ziegler and Justin Gainey and some of these smaller defensive-minded point guards kind of fit the profile of what Purdue's like struggled with and what Braden Smith has struggled with. I actually think this is going to be a really good test. What does Braden Smith do when he is going up against Zakai Ziegler? Can he run offense? Can he get into the offense? Can he initiate what he needs to initiate? Can he get into the paint and create like he did today? I think we're going to find out some things about Braden Smith and Purdue tomorrow. Goodman, this right now is where we need to talk about Vaulted. Vaulted is an app that allows you to participate in daily cash prize pools without an entry fee. It is a place where you can store your own predictions forever, and by using the Vaulted challenge feature, you can prove that you're smarter than your friends and also the guys that make fun of your favorite team like Jeff Goodman. So go download the Vaulted app. That's spelled VLTED. It's the app you can challenge your friends, store your predictions, and join daily cash prize pools without an entry fee. So, Goodman, here is my challenge to you right now over on KenPom. And according to BetMGM, the line for the Gonzaga-Syracuse game is Gonzaga laying 15 points. And I think that that is absolute insanity right now for what this Gonzaga team is. My challenge to you is Syracuse plus 15. That's a lock, right? That's a lock. You got to lock that one in right now.
Yeah. Again, this is the second night that I agree with you, and it pains me to agree with you about anything. I mean, absolutely anything.
Oh, I know. Hey, Henson, I could tell this dude what the winning lottery numbers are, and he would not listen to me. That is true. I could tell him what the winning lottery ticket numbers are before it happens, and he wouldn't listen to me.
If they're laying that
I'm
many
going
points, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's a lot of points. That's a lot of points
because
for a team with a good backcourt. And Benny Williams had a couple moments today, and he's just coming back. I think honestly, their length could bother Gonzaga, and I think they have more depth as well. So I wouldn't even be shocked if Syracuse honestly gives them a game up until the end and has a chance to win this thing.
I got law of averages. Judah Mintz is kind of a game changing player. You see when he got going, Syracuse was in it, man. So I don't think he's going to struggle again. I'm gonna go with the law of averages. He's averaging 20 points a game, so I think he goes off tomorrow, and they give Gonzaga all they want.
All right, I'm gonna put you guys on the spot now. We've seen basically 3.5 games now of the Maui Invitational, right? Who is the best team in this event so far? Is it Kansas? Is it Purdue? Is it Tennessee? Is it Marquette? Who is the best team that is currently out there in Honolulu playing? Goodman, we'll go to you first on this one.
I mean, I think it's really hard. That's why it's such a great event right now. Like Kansas struggled a little bit in the first half against Chaminade, but I mean, they're sleepwalking through, and KJ Adams is still dealing with grieving the loss of his mom. Kevin McCullough actually had a second triple-double in a row. First Kansas player ever to do that. So I guess I'll go with Kansas only because, honestly, I think Bill Self's the best coach. And I'm going to give them the edge for that and the fact that they still have probably the best player and the best coach in Hunter Dickinson and Bill Self. How's that?
Mm-hmm. Henson?
I can't. I wanted to see Marquette. I'm kind of at the corner of my eye watching him a little bit. I love Marquette. I mean, I'm obviously I could say Kansas or Purdue's, but I think as far as a team that I like the most in this field is Marquette. I don't know, there's something about it. I think they were fourth favorite, the fourth highest team favorite to win it. So I like Marquette to make some noise. They don't, looking at the score, it's close right now, but different time zone and things like that. I think tomorrow we're gonna obviously see the big dogs come to play, but I'm gonna go with Marquette just because we could all say Kansas and Purdue.
Yep, I love it. All right, let's get into our toasts of the night. We got about 2 minutes left here before we got to head over to last call. So Henson, I'm going to you first. Who you got? Toast of the night, Monday night in college basketball.
I am going to go to, I brought him up earlier, a fellow Tampanian, Dylan Mitchell, 21 points. Most points he scored since December 27th of last year against Texas A&M Commerce. So hopefully this is just the start of many good things. Cheers to him for having a good night and a unfortunate losing effort.
Did you say Tampanian?
That's what we call it.
Did I hear a Tampanian?
That's what we call each other.
I don't believe that's
the
word.
Tampanian?
I think he made that word up. Yeah, he made that word up. Goodman, go
Google
ahead.
It. Google it. Google it.
All right. I'm going with Phil Martelli Jr. Second straight big win. He beats FAU the other day shortly after getting the permanent job at Bryant. And now he follows it up with a win against a really good Howard team that is going to be favored to win the MEAC. So 2 straight, Phil Martelli Jr. Congrats, man. Congrats.
All right. My toast of the night is going to go out to a young man that we talked to in the preseason. He was part of our media day tours. We did an interview with him. We sat with one of his teammates. He had 23 points, 3 boards, 2 assists tonight for a top 20 team in America. That is KJ Simpson over there on Colorado. They beat Richmond tonight, 64-59. Colorado feels like they are the team this year that is flying under the radar. Everybody loved them in the preseason. And it's been a kind of thing where they haven't really gotten the attention because they haven't landed that big win. And we'll see if it happens tomorrow. I don't think that it will because SMU is SMU. But listen, this has been the Field of 68 After Dark. We are heading over to Stadium, to the app, to their YouTube channel for our new show called Last Call. We will be there every Monday through Friday, midnight until 12:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Last Call. Meet us there.